Okay, so welcome to the next session, that is you remember we talked about employee assistance program and how it could be made more effective, and the kind of policy and procedures that is to be followed by the organizations, and we looked into some of the issues related to mental health care and status in India and what needs to be done. Now, one of the major issues that organizations are facing is related to stress, and that has become a very common phenomenon today in the world of work. So, what we are going to discuss is that what kind of counseling activity can be provided to reduce this stress, because if stress is there, it is going to affect your performance, and that is why stress management has become a very challenging activity for the organizations. And you know that as a part of the development program or management development program, most of the organizations offer this kind of program, or they send their people to attend this kind of program, so that they become aware about the kind of stress they are facing and how to cope up with the challenges of the stress. So, in this session what we are going to discuss is various issues related to stress, like what causes stress, what are the factors which are responsible, what happens you are under stress, what kind of changes happens, and what are the outcomes, and what kind of interventions can be planned, so that it makes you more effective, right. So, with this introduction, we are going to start this counseling for stress management fourth session. And if you look at stress, what does stress mean? Now, if you look at some of the definitions, it means that there are certain factors in the environment which is going to affect you, and ultimately it is going to affect you physically as well as mentally both, right. So, these environmental forces belong to organization, it may belong to the environment, it may be related to the family, it may be related to the context of the situation in which you are living. So, there could be a number of environmental forces at the individual level, at the organization level, at the environment, at the situation level, and all these factors are going to affect you, and if they are going to affect you in a different way, probably you are going to be under stress, right. And then you have to see that how are going to respond to the challenges of these environmental forces, right. That is very important, and that is where we need to see that how you deal with the stressors, right. Maybe the situations, maybe the organization and its policies, okay, or maybe the yourself. Okay. For example, if you have taken too much work and you are not able to do it within a given time, and you know that your boss is asking for you to do complete the job, and you cannot do it. So, you are responsible for taking up this job which you cannot do. So, you are going to be stressed. So, how are you going to deal with this? One suggestion that I can give you, say that if you cannot do it, do not take it up, otherwise it is going to create stress to you. Similarly, there could be factors related to the organizational level also. Supervisor may be responsible, okay, for that, or there could be other factors which are responsible. So, you have to identify that how are you going to deal with various stressors which are going to cause stress to you, and that is what we are going to discuss, okay, right. And because you will find that people behave differently when it comes to dealing with the stress. Okay. 4 people are going to behave in 4 different ways when it comes to dealing with the stresses which is coming out are being derived out of the environment. So, there could be individual variations. So, it is very important to understand that as an individual how you are going to deal with a stressful situation which is coming to you, maybe because of any reasons depending upon the kind of resources that you have, the kind of personality you have, the kind of attitude you develop. Okay. So, there could be a number of factors which are going to help you to see, and the tools and techniques that you can use to reduce your stress, right, your stress. So, it is very important that when you are going to react to this stress, you have to use those tools and techniques that we will discuss to ensure that you are able to get rid of this kind of problem, that is because it is causing a lot of effect to the individual, not only at his physical health, but also the mental health. So, we will start discussing of the key terms that is that we will discuss. So, a stressor is something which is causing stress, any kind of environmental conditions, right. So, these environmental forces basically cause you to experience or have stress. So, they are known as stressors. Second is eustress. Eustress is a kind of positive stress that results from meeting challenging and difficulties and the expectations of achievement, right. So, see, if there is no stress, probably you will not work at all. Okay. So, some kind of stress would be required for you to work effectively, right. Now, if you look at the relationship between the stress and performance and why you need to, it needs to be dealt with that. So, suppose this is stress, you are increasing there and this is performance. Now, the relationship that you can have between stress and performance is going to be something like this, it is like this. It means, this is the optimum level of stress which leads to higher level of performance. Beyond this stress, if you move that, it is going to reduce your performance. So, what I want to say here is that U stress is a positive stress which helps you to cope up with the challenges of the stress and you are able to deal with the situations that is coming out with the environment, right. Then we will discuss some other terms like distress is a negative stress. Okay. That is what actually stress is. Okay. So, if there is a high stress, then it becomes negative here, and in this case what happens? You will not be able to deal with the problem, okay. And then there could be a lot of issues related to that one, and this de-stress actually is the stress, okay, which is there because of stressors there, right. And finally, we have job strain. Strain is the outcome of the stress, right. So, since you are going to meet the requirements of the job in your organization and environmental forces are there to affect you. So, you are under strain. What does it mean? It means that it is going to affect you and it is going to take it all on your physical and mental health. Okay. So, because of the stress, whatever outcome is there, that is known as strain. Okay. Because if you are not able to meet these demands, you are going to be affected by it, right, and that is why we call them stress. And stress, use stress, de-stress and job stress. So, these terms must be looked into. Now, look at this. If you look at this figure, two questions that is being asked: are you stressed at workplace, and how you are going to recognize it. So, it is very important to understand whether you are stressed out and how you are going to identify that yes, you have a stress. Look at this. Another example which is very common these days at the workplace: burned out. Are you burned out? Burned out is a different situation. It could be an outcome of a stress, where because of certain reasons you are not able to perform well. So, in case of burnout, what happens? Your performance deteriorates, you depersonalize, you are not able to maintain your relationship at the workplace. Okay. There are certain jobs which causes more burnout, like if you are in a police or in a call center, okay, or when doctors are burned out, because of the things that they are doing. Okay. You feel detached, okay. You depersonalize yourself, okay. Your performance deteriorates over a period of time because of the kind of work that you are doing. Okay. So, burnout is another situation which is very, very important that you need to look into. Now, if you look at this graph, you can see very clearly that up to a certain level of stress it is good, but beyond this it is bad, right. So, you always need to keep some kind of stress so that you can perform well. So, up to a certain level your performance improves and beyond that it goes down, and that is very, very important to understand this concept of stress and burnout. Now, moving further, what actually happens? How to recognize that you have a stress? And this picture, if you look at this picture, it makes it very, very clear. Okay. Here, this animal is able to identify, he feels that yes, I think there is a stress, because there are certain conditions, there are certain symptoms which he is feeling. Okay. He finds that his legs are bound, he is losing certain things and all kind of things that is happening. So, he realizes that there is certain problem with him, and that is very, very important, and that is where you are going to lose out certain things in terms of performance, your health and all kind of things, and that is very, very important. That is why we need to look into these kind of issues very, very seriously, right. Moving further, look at some of the stress related conditions one by one. What happens if you are under stress? And that actually helps you to recognize whether you have stress or not. Okay. You feel uneasy, you have worries, you have loss of energy, okay. Or sometimes the energy level goes very high also, that sometimes over stress and try to do lot of things. Okay. you lose of loss of appetite, okay, your immune system gets affected, the under stress, sometimes you have physical elements also. Okay. Your heartbeat goes up, your immune system goes down, okay, your metabolism goes up, right, and that may be related to your hypertension and these kind of things, have loose motions and all kind of things might happen. Okay. Under stress this might be possible, right. Then this is acute, this is chronic. You have anxiety, pain attacks, depression, eating disturbances, okay, resistance goes down, you become irritable, lose your sex drives, okay, high blood pressure, diabetes. Okay. So, but do not get afraid, what I am trying to tell you is that these kind of problems might happen if you are under stress, because stress results in certain changes in your physiological mechanism, which might lead to your blood pressure, sugar level and these kind of things, or even depression. Okay. There are a lot of hormones which may be responsible for these kind of things. And the acute level you will find, yes, that is not very say disturbing, but if it becomes at a chronic level, if you move from acute to chronic level, this definitely it needs certain interventions to be looked into, so that you are able to solve these kind of problems. Moving further, if you look at some of the models, especially at the workplace, what actually happens? Okay. And this model is known as effort reward imbalance model of the workplace stress. Okay. So, look into the relationship in effort and the reward. Okay. You are putting lot of efforts because that is required by the organization, okay, and you expect better reward, but that is not coming up. So, if there is an imbalance between your effort and reward, then you feel stressed. You feel that something that you expect because you are working very hard is not coming out in terms of rewards or incentives or whatever it is. Okay. This could be moderated by what you call overcommitment. Okay. That is another important factor which might affect you. Okay. So, this is one theory, and there is another theory which says that demand control model of workplace stress. Okay. And there are two factors, that is job demand and job control. And if you look at these 4 quadrants, okay, if you look at this model, it suggests that when you experience stress, it depends upon the extent to which you are able to have control over the job, the way you are going to decide certain things, the way you are going to do it, how to do it, when to do it. So, if you have better control, then it is always good. If you have less control, then it is not good. So, if you have better control, then it leads to less stress. If you have low control, then it is not good. Similarly, if the job demand is very high, then you are going to have high level of stress, right. So, if you have low control over job and this job demand is very high, then you are going to have high stress, that is what you call de-stress, right. Similarly, if the job demand is very high, but you are able to control yourself, you have very high control on your job, then you have eustress, that is good, positive, because that will help you to cope up with the challenges, okay, and you will be able to perform, that is what we call eustress. But if there is low job demand and you have high control, then there is going to be less stress, but in that case what happens? Your performance is not going to be good. But both of them are low, then suppose you do not have control over the job demand is also not very high, then you become passive, you do not act at all. So, this model suggests that depending upon the demand and control, the kind of stress that you are going to have is going to be high or low, and then what needs to be done and is to be looked into, right. So, it is very important that once you are able to recognize that you have stress, it is important for the organizations or the management of or even HRD professionals to see that how they are going to manage such interventions, right. So, any kind of activity program, okay, which is initiated by the organization, which focuses on reducing work related stress. You know that lot of organizations today offer meditation programs or yoga, that is also a way to look at how you are going to reduce your level of stress, that helps you to reduce your stress. Okay. We will discuss some of the techniques at a later stage. So, any kind of stress management intervention or any kind of activity offered by the HR department to assist its employees to reduce their level of stress would be called a intervention or stress management intervention. Now, what we are going to do is that we have to identify what are those organizational stresses. Okay. We remember we talked about 3 kind of stresses: the stresses related to work, situation and the organization. But the organizational related stresses are very important. Similarly, work related stresses also. So, we will talk about what the factors which causes stress, especially if you look at the organizational related factors, okay, which are related to the job. You are not able to do it, okay, you do not get support. Okay. The structure and control process is different. I mean, who is going to supervise, how much supervision is there in the roles and responsibilities, and how much control you have over the job, that is also important. Then whether you are able to relate reward with the performance or not. So, that is going to cause stress. What kind of HR systems are there, okay? Policies related to govern your performance, rewards, okay? Career promotions and all kind of things that might also lead to stress. Then supervisor is the most important cause. You know that there is a statement saying that people leave their supervisors, not their organizations, and that actually suggests that yes, leadership is an important factor. So, if you have positive leadership qualities and if you have effective leadership, probably you will be able to better manage your employees and you will not create any kind of stress. So, leadership is an important factor. Now, if you look at some of the work related stresses, okay, then if your role is not clear, okay, what you are supposed to do, what is expected from you, right. If you overload yourself, the best remedy is you should have the ability to say no, right, in order to avoid this kind of overload. Occupation, you know, the certain occupations create more stress, as I told you, like if you are in a police job or in a call center job, okay, or nursing jobs or doctor's job, this create more stress because of the nature of the job, or if you are dealing with the public, okay, because then you face lot of stress. So, it also depends upon the nature of occupation that you are going to have. Then what kind of resource you have to perform your job effectively. If you have less resources, then probably it creates problem. Okay. Then workplace basically conditions, if your workplace conditions both physical as well as say psychological climate, it should be good. Physical environment like lighting, say lighting, okay, air, ventilation, okay, and all kind of things, space layout, all this should be good. So, you need to create a good ambience, that is more important. Similarly, you also need to create a culture of support, okay, so that it does not create any conditions. So, when you are talking about working conditions, it includes both. Then you have the leadership style, what kind of leadership style is adopted by the managers, and then what kind of monitoring system you have. Or do you have a very close monitoring system where all the time employees are being managed and monitored what they are doing, or you understand that your employees are good and they do not need to be monitored much. So, they will take care of them. So, you go for less supervision and that results in better performance as well. Then whether you are going to provide them a secure job or not. So, if you are able to provide secure job, then it is always good, because job security reduces the level of stress or anxiety that is associated with the job. So, people think that now they have secure job. So, they are not worried about these kind of things. So, they think about how to do and improve their performance. So, these are the work related stresses was very important. So, people should be able to understand when it comes to assessment and diagnosis that what causes stress, whether it is related to the organizational factors or these work related factors. Now, look at the consequence, what happens if you are under stress. Okay. So, we talked about the antecedent factors, now we are going to talk about the consequences of stress. These are the psychological consequences. You may have anxiety, depression, low self esteem, sleeplessness, frustration, family issues, even burnout. Okay. So, these are the psychological conditions which are going to be there, provided you are going to have severe stress. So, severe stress means that stress goes beyond a level and it is going to affect you individually, then you are going to have these psychological problems. Anxiety is very normal, but if this anxiety moves further, it means it becomes deep, then you may get into depression and severe depression. Then you lose your self esteem. Okay. Your sleep is disturbed, even you will not be able to sleep. I have seen people under stress, they take pills to sleep, right. Then you feel frustrated all the time, you have conflict with the family, members and others, okay, and that creates a lot of problems in the society and the family, okay, and then you feel burned out. It could be related to the nature of job, because you are doing job at odd hours and all kind of things might happen, which may be the cause of the burnout. So, these are the psychological issues which may happen to individual if he is under stress. Similarly, there could be behavioral issues related to the individual, like you know that people under stress go for excessive smoking, you start taking drugs, okay, you make accidents, okay, you may lose your appetite, okay, and you may also engage in violent and aggressive activities. Okay. And you might have read in the newspaper that because of the stress and fear of losing job, workers become violent and aggressive, and they even started damaging the property and also took life. There is a lot of examples that you can find out, and this could be related to stress, because at some point of time the job is stake, and that is why these factors were responsible for these kind of activities within. And then there could be a lot of physiological problems, you know that when you are under stress, there are a lot of changes, especially the physiological mechanism. Okay. So, what actually happens if you look at the physiological mechanism, okay, the physiological system actually, especially the glands which carry hormones, they create certain hormones in excessive amount, okay, and if they are going to create hormones in the excessive amount, you can have all kind of problems, okay. Because if you have under stress, then these kind of problems might happen to you. It may lead to high blood pressure, muscular tensions, headaches also, ulcers. Sometimes you may not realize that this could be the result of the stress, but yes, it may happen, okay. Or some other decisions like your immune system gets disturbed, you may have musculoskeletal disorders, okay. I mean feel cramp in your legs or body, okay. When to a larger extent you can have certain problems related to your heart also, okay. And I mean cancer. I mean there are certain things that could be released by the body which is not good for you, okay. So, if you are under stress, there are certain hormones which are released by the body in excessive manner, and which may cause these kind of problems, okay. Because you know that there is a condition which is known as homeostasis, that this is to be maintained by your physiological processes, the bodily physiological processes. So, if you are under extreme stress, this kind of physiological process is disturbed, okay, and that causes certain hormones to be released in excessive amount, which creates a lot of problem for the individual. So, if you look at individually, it is going to affect you psychologically, your behavior gets disturbed, even the physical, you face a lot of physical elements, okay, though the basic cause is stress, right. Now, if you look at organizational consequences of stress, yes, you lose productivity, performance, compensation is less, okay, you are going to spend more on your health costs, okay, and there is going to be more medical expenses, because if you are under stress, you are having certain physiological problems for which you go to the doctor, he will be able to treat you for the physical problems, but unless you are cured for the stress, probably the problem may relapse or it may again come up, and then you are going to face the same problems again. I have seen certain people who in the face of crisis have these kind of situations, and unless it was identified to cure their basic problem, they continue to have those kind of problems. So, it is very important to relate these kind of things with the stress, and that is why you know that organizations have these kind of stress management program, and that is very popular among the people, and they go for these kind of things in a big way, and that is what I have been talking about looking at the performance. Okay. If you look at human performance, the peak performance goes when you have optimum level of stress, okay, which stimulates you to perform well. Okay. If there is a very low stress, too little stress, then what happens in that case? You do not perform at all. Okay, you are under stimulated, you are not driven by motivated enough to perform well. But if you look at this optimum level of stress, then it is good. Then it creates stimulation, you are motivated and driven to better performance. Then ultimately you have this over stimulation, and if over stimulation is there, then it is very bad, too much stress is not good, and then you have this stress or what you call negative stress. Now, what is important is to offer certain stress management interventions which is good, okay, like you need to educate people, so that they are able to identify what are the various sources of stress, what happens when you are under stressful, and also how to avoid or cope up with these kind of things. Okay. So, they need to be educated about three things. What could be the various antecedents of the stress? We have talked about work related and organization related factors, that is more important, especially for the workplace. Then what are the consequences? We also discussed about various consequences related to the individual and the organization, right. Now, what is more important, that you need to plan an intervention, that how are we going to cope up with this, how are we going to challenge those or cope up with the challenges that has been created by the stress management. So, what kind of activities you need to do, a plan in general and specific depending upon the requirement of a specific case, that you need to plan certain interventions that need to be looked into, right. So, you need to develop certain skills. Okay. Some of the examples I have taken here, like you need to better manage your time, you should be more assertive and these kind of things. So, these kind of trainings basically help you to manage your stress in a better way, right. So, it is very, very important, and we will discuss some other issues related to this. So, now if you look at this, you need to identify what are the stressors at the first stage. Okay. Then recognition, that is cognitive appraisal of the stresses, you should be able to identify what causes stresses, and next level what would be your coping strategies, right. Now, if you look at the interventions that could be planned at the individual level, like going for meditation, exercise, relaxation, okay, cognitive approaches, understanding those things in a better way, in a broader perspective, setting goals, going for time management. In case of organizations, you can go for restructuring, redesigning the job, so that person feel less stress. Okay. You make sure that your selection and placement program is better or is improved. You try to improve the working conditions, you provide them training and development, so that they are better equipped with the knowledge and skill to perform well, right. So, these are the industrial and organizational interventions that could be planned, and similarly, you also make sure that the demand and the job demand and the person fit is there. Okay. And similarly, also make sure that the authority is going to do certain things, okay, and take care of these kind of things in terms of relationship and practices with concern to the individual, right. Then if it is these kind of interventions are planned, then you also need to see that how he is going to take care of himself in terms of blood pressure, heart rate, okay, and other kind of heart related problems. It also is going to help him to improve his quality of life. So, he would not be it would feel less anxiety and depression, right, and he will not have some psychosomatic complaints, like the problem may be physical, but the reason may be psychological, and that is what we know as psychosomatic complaints, right. For example, you might be feeling cramp in your say muscles in the leg. So, you go for some kind of treatment, but the reason may be something that is psychological in nature, right. Similarly, if you are going to plan these interventions, it is definitely help to improve productivity and these kind of things for the organization. You will have less absenteeism, healthcare cost would be less, accident would be less, right, and it would help you to improve your performance, satisfaction, right, less burnout and these kind of things, right. So, if you look at this intervention, it is very, very important to plan this kind of interventions for the individual, so that he can be helped out. Look at some of the examples. This is related to what? Relaxation. This is work life balance. This is look at your eating habits, right. This is sleep, right. This is something else, meditation and yoga, that meditation especially. Now, look at this is related to what? Can you guess it? This is what we call assertiveness. You have to be assertive, polite, but firm in your statement. Okay. That is very, very important. These both of them are related to that one. This is exercise. Okay. So, these are some of the examples that I have given you with these pictures to explain what kind of interventions can be planned at the individual level by the organization for the individual by the organization, so that you can help them to work it out. And then ultimately, we have a model for this. It means you have to focus on the individual, identify what his problem is, okay, so that he is able to help cope up with the situations, and perhaps more focus should be on the stressors, because unless you are able to remove the stressors from the environment, they would continue to create those stressors. So, it is very, very important to look into those stressors which might cause these kind of problems. Okay. And then we have to see that how effective these interventions for managing stressors are, which is going to help you. So, yes, they have been definitely helping people, and that is why lot of stress management interventions program have been conducted by the organizations to help people to reduce their level of stressors, and similarly they also need to reduce those stressors. Okay. So, they need to go for redesigning the jobs and all kind of things, restructuring, creating a culture and process and system which supports people, right. So, that it could be good for the organizations. So, there has to be some guidance. Okay. Look for the specific issue related to the individual, analyze the problem, look at the focused and specific solutions, especially if you want to offer a intervention, and see that whether it is related to some individuals or it is throughout the organization or the group is suffering from this kind of problem, and accordingly evaluate and give timely feedback, so that this kind of activities can be taken up. Thank you very much.